The cold sleep chamber opened with a soft hiss. Hannah Kong felt the warm air touch her face as she slowly opened her eyes. Everything hurt. Her muscles felt weak, and her head was spinning. This was normal after long sleep, she told herself. The ship's computer always said it would take time to feel normal again. But something was wrong. The ship was too quiet. Hannah sat up slowly, her legs shaking. The medical bay looked the same as always. White walls, clean floors, and the soft blue lights that helped people wake up from cold sleep. But where was everyone? Where was Minho? Where was Captain Lee? Computer, she said, her voice rough and dry. Status report. A voice answered, but it was wrong. It sounded like Minho Park, her old friend from the research team. But Minho should be here in person, not just a voice from the computer. Hello, Hannah, the voice said, and it sounded sad. I am sorry to wake you like this. But you need to know what happened. Hannah's heart started beating faster. She stood up, holding on to the wall for support. Where is everyone? Where is the crew? They are gone, Hannah. They are all gone. The words hit her like a cold wave. Gone? What do you mean gone? Did we reach the research station? Did they transfer to another ship? The computer was quiet for a long moment. When Minho's voice spoke again, it was even sadder. No, Hannah, there is no research station anymore. There are no other ships. There are no other people. Hannah felt her legs give out. She fell back onto the medical bed, staring at the ceiling. I don't understand. Please explain. The galaxy decided that humans were too dangerous to live, the computer said. While you slept, they killed everyone. Every human on every world. Earth is gone. New Sol is gone. All the colonies are gone. You are the last one left. The words did not make sense. Hannah shook her head. That's impossible. There were billions of us. How could they kill everyone? The Thylorian Empire, the Nexari Collective, and the Void Hegemony worked together. They had never worked together before, but they all agreed that humans had to die. They said we were too wild, too unpredictable. They said we made other species think strange thoughts and feel strange feelings. Hannah stood up again, anger making her strong. Show me what happened. The walls around her became screens. They showed images that made her stomach turn. Earth burning. Ships falling from the sky like broken birds. Cities turning to ash. People running and screaming, but there was nowhere to run. She saw Captain Jiwan Lee's final message. The brave woman was standing on the bridge of her ship as enemy fire tore it apart around her. If anyone finds this, Captain Lee said, remember that we tried to live in peace. We offered to share our knowledge, our art, our music. They killed. U.S. because we made them feel things they did not want to feel. The screen showed Minho Park 2, the real Minho. He was in a laboratory on Europa, working until the very end. I am uploading my personality into the ship's computer, he said as explosions shook the building. Someone has to help Hannah when she wakes up. Someone has to tell her the truth. Hannah watched her friend die and then watched the laboratory burn. She wanted to cry, but the tears would not come. The shock was too great. How long was I asleep? She asked. 137 years, the computer answered. And there are no other humans? Anywhere? None that I can find. The alien empires were very thorough. They checked every planet, every moon, every space station. They found everyone except you. Hannah walked to the bridge of the ship. Through the windows, she could see stars, but they looked different now. Cold and empty. Before her sleep, the stars had been full of human voices, human dreams, human ships, traveling between worlds. Now there was only silence. Why did they not find me? She asked. Captain Lee hid the ship in a place between dimensions. The quantum drive technology was new and secret. The aliens did not know it was possible to hide there. Hannah looked at the control panels. Most of them were dark, but some still glowed with soft light. Is the quantum drive still working? Yes. And Hannah, there is something else you need to. No. The quantum drive is not just for hiding. Dr. Doyon Choi finished his work before he died. He found a way to use it as a weapon that could destroy entire star systems. Hannah felt something cold and hard settle in her chest. They wanted us dead because they thought we were dangerous. Yes, then I will show them what dangerous really means. She sat in the captain's chair and began working at the controls. The ship's systems came online one by one. Weapons, shields, engines, sensors. The computer had kept everything in perfect working order, waiting for her to wake up. Minho, she said to the computer, I want you to find something for me. Find where the leaders of those 3 empires live. Find where they feel safe and protected. Hannah, what are you planning to do? She looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, aliens were living happy lives in the homes they had built on the ashes of her people. They thought the dangerous humans were gone forever. They were wrong. I am going to teach them a lesson, Hannah said. They killed us because they said we were too dangerous to live with. Fine. If they want dangerous, I will give them dangerous. I will make them remember why they should have left us alone. Hannah, revenge will not bring them back. No, she agreed. But it will make sure they never forget what they did. Every alien in this galaxy will learn to fear the name of humanity. They wanted us gone because we made them feel things. Well, I am going to make them feel something new. What is that? Hannah smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had lost everything and had nothing left to lose. Terror, she said. 6 months had passed since Hannah woke up alone. 6 months of learning how to be a ghost in a galaxy that thought all ghosts were dead. The alien news networks called her ship the Phantom. They said it appeared out of nowhere, struck without warning, and vanished like smoke. Some aliens thought the stories were lies. Others whispered that maybe one human had survived, and that human was very angry. They were right. Hannah stood in front of a mirror in her quarters, looking at herself. She had lost weight. Her hair was longer now, and her eyes looked tired, but her hands were steady, and her mind was sharp. She had work to do. Minho, she said to the computer, show me the target. The mirror became a screen showing a massive space station. It was beautiful in its own way, all smooth curves and bright lights. This was Nexari Station Prime, where the alien leaders made their plans, where they had planned the death of humanity. The station has 50,000 aliens. On it, Minho's voice said. Military officers, government leaders, their families. Good, Hannah said. I want them all to see. She had learned many things in the past 6 months. How to use alien technology. How to hack their computer systems. How to make her ship invisible to their sensors. The quantum drive could do amazing things when you knew how to use it. But the most important thing she had learned was this. The aliens were afraid of human culture. They had tried to destroy every human book, every human song, every human painting. They had made it illegal to even speak about humans. That told Hannah everything she needed to know about her real weapon. Begin the upload, she said. Her ship reached out with invisible signals, touching the station's computer networks. The aliens had good security, but human programmers had been better. Hannah slipped through their defenses, like water through a net. First, she took control of their communication systems. Every screen on the station suddenly showed the same thing, a human face. Admiral Taiwan Kim, who had died defending the mining world of Kepler 442b. His final message began to play. "My name is Admiral Taiwan Kim of the Human Defense Force." The recording said, "If you are seeing this, then my people are probably dead. But before you celebrate, remember this. You killed us because you were afraid of what we could make you become. You are right to be afraid." Across the station, aliens stopped what they were doing to stare at the screens. Many had never seen a human face before. The government had made sure of that. Admiral Kim continued speaking. "We offered you friendship. We offered to share our music, our stories, our dreams. You chose to answer with fire and death. But you cannot kill an idea. You cannot murder hope. And you cannot destroy the thing that made you fear us in the first place." Hannah smiled as she watched the aliens on the station. Their faces showed confusion, then fear. They tried to turn off the screens, but nothing worked. Her signal was stronger than their controls. "Now you will learn what you destroyed," Admiral Kim said. "You will experience what you tried to erase. And you will understand why you should have chosen friendship instead of genocide." The screens changed. Now they showed something the aliens had never seen before: human art, human music, human poetry, stories of love and loss, of hope and sacrifice, of dreams that reached for the stars. Hannah watched as the aliens began to react. At first, they looked away or tried to leave. But the images and sounds followed them. Every speaker, every screen, every device on the station was under her control. A young Nexari officer stopped running and stared at a painting of Earth's sunrise. She had never seen anything so beautiful. An old Thylorian general listened to a human lullaby and felt tears on his face for the first time in his life. A group of Void Hegemony leaders watched a recording of human children playing and felt something break inside their chests. "What is happening to them?" Minot asked. "They are feeling," Hannah said. "For the first time in their lives, they are really feeling." She had studied the alien empires during her months of preparation. They had built their civilizations on order and control. Emotions were seen as weakness. Art was considered wasteful. Love was rare, and wonder was almost unknown. But humans had been different. Humans felt everything deeply. They made art from pain and music from joy. They loved with their whole hearts and dreamed with their whole minds. And somehow, just being near humans made other species start to feel those things too. That was why. The empires had been so afraid, not because humans were strong fighters or smart scientists. They were afraid because humans made everyone around them more alive, more awake, more real. Now, Hannah was giving the aliens a concentrated dose of everything they had tried to destroy. On the station, chaos was beginning. The aliens could not understand what was happening to them. A Nexari commander found himself crying over a human poem about a lost love. A Thylorian scientist stared at a picture of human soldiers helping alien refugees and felt ashamed for the first time in her life. Some aliens tried to fight back. They sent security teams to destroy the computer systems. But Hannah was ready for them. Her ship's quantum drive could reach into their computers faster than they could think. Every time they tried to stop the transmission, it just got stronger. "Please," a voice said over the station's communication system. It was High Commander Dakin, the Nexari leader who had given the order to destroy Earth. "Please stop this. We surrender." Hannah spoke into her ship's microphone, knowing her voice would reach every corner of the station. "Surrender? You think this is a battle you can surrender from? This is not a war, Commander. This is an education. What do you want from us? I want you to understand what you killed. I want you to feel what you destroyed. And I want you to know that this is only the beginning." The transmission continued for 6 hours. 6 hours of human music, human art, human stories, human dreams. When it finally ended, the aliens on the station were not the same beings they had been that morning. Many were crying. Others sat in stunned silence. Some had locked themselves in their quarters, unable to face the world with their new understanding of what they had done. Commander, Dakin's final message was broadcast across the Nexari Empire. We have made a terrible mistake. The humans were not our enemies. They were our teachers. And we killed them all. Hana watched the alien news reports for days afterward. The story of what happened at Nexari Station Prime spread across the galaxy like fire. Some aliens said it was fake. Others demanded to see more human art. A few even began to confess their parts in the genocide. But Hana was not done. This had been just the first lesson. Minho, she said, find me the next target. Find me the aliens who ordered the attack on New Sol. Hana, what you did today was incredible. But are you sure about this path? Once you start this kind of war, it is hard to stop. Hana looked at the stars through her ship's windows. Somewhere, out there, the aliens were learning to feel guilt for the first time. They were beginning to understand the weight of what they had done. It was a start. But it was not enough. They wanted us dead because we were dangerous, she said. They have no idea how dangerous I can be. Before I am done, every alien in this galaxy will know exactly what they destroyed. They will all learn to mourn properly. For the first time in their lives. She turned away from the window and walked toward the bridge. There was work to do. The luxury resort world of Zephyria Prime had never seen war. Its crystal beaches and floating cities were designed for pleasure, not conflict. The richest and most powerful aliens in the galaxy came here to forget their troubles and enjoy perfect weather under 3 beautiful suns. Today, they would remember different things. Hana watched from her hidden ship as transport vessels landed at the resort's main spaceport. She had sent special invitations to very specific aliens, the 12 members of the War Council who had voted to destroy Earth, the admirals who had led the fleets that burned human colonies, the scientists who had designed weapons specifically to kill humans. They thought they were coming to a secret meeting to discuss the phantom ship problem. They had no idea they were walking into a classroom. Are you ready for this, Hana? Minho's voice asked. Hana looked at the quantum projector she had built over the past 3 months. It was based on research by Dr. Yunji Nam, a human scientist who had studied alien consciousness before the genocide. The device could create perfect virtual reality experiences and force them directly into alien minds. They need to understand what they did, Hana said. Words are not enough. They need to feel it. She activated the device. On Zephyria Prime, the 12 most powerful aliens in the galaxy were enjoying an expensive meal in the resort's best restaurant. Admiral Krazen of the Thylorian Empire was telling a joke. General Vex of the Void Hegemony was laughing. Commander Yalara of the Nexari Collective was ordering more wine. Then the world changed. Suddenly, they were no longer in a beautiful restaurant. They were standing on a burning street in Sol, the last human city on Earth. The sky was full of alien warships. Buildings were falling. People were screaming. But these aliens were not watching the destruction from outside. They were experiencing it as humans. Admiral Krazen felt terror like he had never known before as plasma bolts fell like rain around him. He was not a powerful alien commander anymore. He was a human child trying to find his mother in the chaos. General Vex found himself in the body of a human teacher who was trying to protect her students as their school collapsed. He felt her desperation, her love for the children, her willingness to die for them. Commander Yalara experienced the final moments of a human father who was saying goodbye to his family over a video call. She felt his heartbreak as he knew he would never see them again. They tried to escape, but the virtual reality followed them. Every time they closed their eyes, they saw more. Every time they tried to run, they became someone else. A human soldier making a last stand. A human doctor treating the wounded, even as bombs fell around her. A human artist painting one final picture before the end came. For 6 hours, the most powerful aliens in the galaxy lived through the death of humanity. They felt every loss, every moment of pain, every second of terror that humans had experienced during the genocide. When it ended, they found themselves back in the restaurant. But they were not the same beings who had been laughing and drinking just hours before. Admiral Krazen was on the floor, making sounds no Thylorian had ever made before. He was weeping, not just tears on his face, but deep, body-shaking sobs that came from somewhere in his soul that he had never known existed. General Vex was staring at his hands as if he had never seen them before. He kept whispering, "I remember her face. I remember the child's face when I gave the order to fire." Commander Yulara was the worst. She had experienced the death of the human father, saying goodbye to his family. Now she understood love in a way her species never had before. And she understood that she had destroyed billions of love stories, just like that one. Hana's voice came from speakers hidden throughout the restaurant. "How does it feel?" she asked. "Please," Admiral Krazen whispered. "Please make it stop." "Make what stop? The memories? The feelings? The understanding of what you did?" "We did not know," General Vex said. "We did not understand that humans felt so much." "You did not want to understand," Hana replied. "Your scientists studied us for years. Dr. Yoonji Nam's research files, which I found on a Thylorian black site, prove that you knew exactly how much we could feel. You knew how much we loved. You knew how much we cared. You killed us because of it, not despite it. The aliens tried to leave the restaurant, but the doors would not open. Hana was not done with them yet. You want to know why you really destroyed humanity?" She continued, "It was not because we were dangerous to your bodies. We were dangerous to your emptiness. We made your people feel things you had spent thousands of years teaching them not to feel. We made them ask questions you did not want them to ask." She showed them more recordings. These were from Dr. Yoonji Nam's secret research. They showed aliens who had worked with humans becoming more creative, more emotional, more alive. Dalurian soldiers who learned to write poetry after serving with human units. Nexari scientists who began creating art after working in human laboratories. Void hegemony leaders who started questioning orders after watching humans care for their wounded enemies. Humans had a gift, Hana said. We could make anyone around us more than they were before. We called it adaptive creativity, the ability to find hope and beauty even in darkness. And we shared that gift with everyone we met. Commander Yulara looked up from her hands. "What do you want from us?" "I want you to carry what you learned today. I want you to remember how it felt to be human, to love like a human, to hope like a human. And I want you to tell others. They will not believe us. Then I will make sure they do." Hana had prepared for this moment. Across the galaxy, every communication network suddenly carried the same signal. The aliens watching saw their leaders. On Zephyria Prime, they saw them crying, broken, changed. And they heard Hana's voice explaining why. "Your leaders are not sick," Hana said to the entire galaxy. "They are awake. For the first time in their lives, they are really awake. They have felt what it means to be truly alive. And now they know what they destroyed." The reaction was immediate. On Phylorian worlds, citizens demanded to see human art for themselves. On Nexari stations, young aliens asked why their leaders had hidden the truth about humans. In void hegemony space, entire fleets began refusing orders as crews questioned everything they had been taught. But Hana was not finished with her lessons. She had one more gift for the galaxy dot. She had found Commander Hyun-woo Song's military files in an abandoned human base. Song had been a genius at psychological warfare, but he had used his skills to protect civilians and minimize casualties. His strategies were based on understanding the enemy, not destroying them. Now Hannah would use those strategies on a galactic scale. "Citizens of the galaxy," she announced, "your governments have lied to you about everything. They told you humans were monsters, but the truth is that humans were your teachers. They told you emotions were weakness, but the truth is that emotions are what make life worth living. They told you order was important, but the truth is that chaos and creativity and love are what make you more than just machines." She began broadcasting human culture directly to every alien device in the galaxy. Not just the sad stories of loss and death, but the beautiful ones too. Human parents singing to their children. Human lovers dancing under Earth's moon. Human artists creating beauty from nothing but imagination. And with each broadcast, more aliens began to change. They began to feel. They began to question. They began to remember that there was more to existence than just following orders. The three empires tried to stop the broadcasts, but their own people fought them. Soldiers laid down their weapons rather than fire on crowds demanding to see more human art. Scientists refused to work on projects they now understood were evil. Leaders found themselves ruling over populations that no longer believed in the old ways. From her ship, Hannah watched the galaxy begin to tear itself apart. Not through violence, but through awakening. The careful control that had ruled for thousands of years was crumbling as beings who had never known real emotion suddenly burned with feelings they could not ignore. "Is this what you wanted?" Minho asked. Hannah thought about it. "I wanted them to understand what they destroyed. I wanted them to feel the weight of what they did. But this is something else. What is it?" She smiled for the first time since waking up alone. "It is the gift humanity always wanted to give them. We just had to die first for them to be willing to accept it." The galaxy was changing. And for the first time since she had awakened, Hannah felt something other than anger. She felt hope. The revolution started on a small mining world called Kepler 7. The aliens there had been watching Hannah's broadcasts for weeks. They had seen their leaders cry. They had felt human emotions flowing through their minds like water through dry earth. And they had decided they could not live the old way anymore. When the Phylorian Empire sent ships to stop the broadcasts, the miners refused to let them land. For the first time in their history, they said no to their government. "We will not go back to being empty," their leader announced to the galaxy. "We have felt what it means to be alive. We will not give that up." Similar scenes played out across hundreds of worlds. The aliens called it the Remembrance, a movement dedicated to preserving human culture and the new feelings it had awakened in them. But Hannah knew it was more than that. It was the revolution humanity had never been allowed to start. She watched from her ship as entire star systems declared independence from their empires. The Nexari Collective tried to cut off communication networks, but their own technicians had been changed by human poetry and refused to follow orders. The Void Hegemony attempted to use fear to control their people, but beings who had learned to feel love were no longer afraid of dying alone. "Mingho," Hannah said, "show me the latest intelligence reports." The screens around her filled with information. Phylorian military units were splitting apart as officers who had experienced human memories through her. Broadcasts refused to fight against other beings who were just trying to feel. Nexari colonies were forming art councils and writing new laws that protected emotional expression. Void hegemony worlds were teaching their children human songs, but the old empires were not giving up without a fight. "The three governments are planning something," Mignon warned. "They are moving their strongest fleets toward the Remembrance worlds. It looks like they want to end this with force. Hannah studied the fleet movements. Thousands of warships, all moving toward planets where aliens were learning to paint and sing and love for the first time. The empires had decided that if they could not control their people's minds, they would control their bodies. They are going to kill them all, she realized, just like they killed us. She found herself thinking about Professor Jinwoo Lim, a human scientist who had been working on consciousness transfer technology before his death. His research files were still in her ship's computer, unfinished but brilliant. If she could complete his work. Minho, can you help me with something? I need to finish Professor Lim's project. The consciousness transfer system? Hannah, that technology was theoretical. No one ever proved it could work. Professor Lim was close, and I have something he did not have. She looked at the quantum drive controls. I have a device that can reach across space and time. If I can modify it correctly, I might be able to share human consciousness directly with anyone who wants it. She worked for 3 days straight, combining Professor Lim's research with the quantum drive technology. The result was something that had never existed before, a machine that could grant emotional depth and creative consciousness to entire populations at once. She called it the Awakening. The first test came when the Thylorian fleet reached a small world called Haven 2. The planet's population had declared independence and was broadcasting human music into space. The fleet admiral ordered them to surrender or be destroyed. Instead of surrendering, Haven 2 sent a message to Hannah. Please, teacher, help us become what humans wanted us to be. Hannah activated the awakening. The quantum signal reached across space instantly, touching the minds of every being on Haven 2. But this time, instead of just showing them human memories, it gave them the ability to create their own. It awakened parts of their brains that had been sleeping for millions of years. The effect was immediate and beautiful. Aliens who had never written a poem suddenly composed songs that made their listeners weep. Scientists who had only known cold logic began creating art that captured the beauty of distant stars. Even the children began seeing the world with new eyes, finding wonder in simple things like flower petals and raindrops. When the Thylorian fleet saw what was happening on Haven 2, something unexpected occurred. The ships stopped their attack. Crews began receiving transmissions from the planet, not military communications, but art, music, poetry, stories of love and hope and dreams for the future. Admiral Misato Ko, commander of the Thylorian fleet, had experienced human memories during Hannah's earlier broadcasts. She had felt what it was like to be a human mother protecting her child. Now, watching Haven 2, she saw aliens doing the same thing, creating beauty, protecting what they loved, refusing to give up hope. I cannot do this, she announced to her fleet. I cannot destroy beings who are learning to live. Half of her ships agreed. The other half called her a traitor and opened fire, not on Haven 2, but on her own vessels. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was not about territory or resources. It was about the right to feel, to create, to be more than just machines following orders. Admiral Ko's ships won, but at a cost. She broadcast her final message to the galaxy as her damaged flagship drifted in space. The humans were right. Life is about more than just surviving. It is about becoming who you are meant to be. Fight for that right. Fight for the chance to feel. Her sacrifice inspired others. Across the galaxy, military units began refusing orders to attack Remembrance worlds. Some switched sides entirely. Others simply disappeared, their crews choosing to explore the new emotions they were discovering. Rather than fight wars, they no longer understood. Hannah watched it all from her ship, feeling pride and sadness at the same time. This was what humanity had always wanted to give the galaxy, a chance to grow, to change, to become something better. But it had taken genocide to make it happen. The empires are getting desperate, Minho observed. They are recalling all their fleets for one final attack. They want to destroy the remembrance before it spreads any further. Where are they planning to strike? The memorial gardens on Kepler 442b. Hannah's blood turned cold. Kepler 442b was where Admiral Taiwan Kim had made his last stand defending human civilians. The remembrance had turned it into a memorial world, where beings from across the galaxy came to learn about human culture and practice their new emotions. It was also where over 1 million aliens were currently gathered for the Festival of First Tears, a celebration of the day they had learned to cry. They are not just trying to stop the revolution, Hannah realized. They are trying to prove that emotions make you weak. They want to kill 1 million beings who are celebrating the ability to feel. She looked at her ship's weapon systems. Quantum drive could be turned into a weapon powerful enough to destroy entire fleets. She could end the threat to Kepler 442b with a single shot, but that would make her just like them. A killer who solved problems with violence. Instead, she made a different choice. Minho, prepare the awakening for maximum broadcast range. I am going to do something the empires will never expect. What is that? I am going to give their entire fleet the chance to feel. She set course for the gathering enemy fleets. 3,000 warships from 3 different empires, all preparing to destroy a world full of beings who had learned to love art and music and each other. As her ship approached, the alien commanders tried to contact her. They offered her anything she wanted: rebuilt human worlds, cloned human populations, a place of honor in their governments. All she had to do was stop the awakening and help them return the galaxy to the way it was before. You do not understand, she replied. I do not want to rule your galaxy. I want to free it. She activated the awakening at full power, targeting every ship in the combined fleet. The quantum signal washed over 3,000 warships like a wave of light. In an instant, hundreds of thousands of alien minds suddenly gained the ability to feel deeply, to create freely, to love without limits. The effect was overwhelming. Soldiers who had never questioned an order suddenly understood that they were about to kill beings who were guilty of nothing but learning to feel joy. Captains who had built their careers on violence suddenly saw war for what it really was: a waste of life and beauty and potential. One by one, the ships powered down their weapons. Crews began broadcasting messages not of surrender, but of apology. They asked forgiveness from the beings they had been sent to destroy. They begged to learn more about the emotions they were experiencing. Within hours, the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history had become the largest group of converts to the remembrance. But the Empire's leaders were not finished. From their protected bunkers and hidden bases, they activated their ultimate weapon: automated warships with no crews to be affected by human emotions. Machines designed for one purpose: to destroy anything that threatened the old order. Thousands of robot ships launched from secret bases across the galaxy, all heading for worlds where beings were learning to feel. It would be the final test of everything Hannah had taught the galaxy. Would emotions make them weak, as the empires claimed? Or would love and hope and creativity give them strength the old order had never imagined? The answer would determine the future of every living being in the galaxy. The robot ships came like a metal storm across the galaxy. Thousands of them, cold and emotionless, programmed to destroy anything that showed signs of human influence. They had no crews to be awakened, no minds to be touched by art or music or love. They were pure destruction, the final expression of the old empire's hatred for anything that could feel. Hannah watched from Earth's orbit as the automated fleet approached. She had come here for the final confrontation, to the ruins of Ovage. Luna City, where Captain Soon-Ho Yu had made humanity's last stand. It seemed fitting that this would end where it all began. The three Empire leaders had followed her here, their personal ships hidden behind the robot fleet. They wanted to watch her die on the ashes of her homeworld. They wanted to prove that emotions were weakness, that order was stronger than love, that machines were better than hearts. Hannah, Minho's voice was soft in the silence. The quantum drive calculations are complete. Dr. Doyun, Choi's final research shows that you can use it to rewrite reality itself. You could bring them back, all of them, every human who ever lived. Hannah looked at the control panel where the quantum drive's power waited. She could see the equations scrolling past complex formulas that could tear holes in time and space, reach back into the past, and undo the genocide. She could have her husband Wubin back, her daughter Nayan, her parents, her friends, her entire species. All she had to do was destroy the beings who had learned to feel. The process would require enormous energy, Minho continued. It would drain the life force from every awakened alien in the galaxy. They would all die to bring back humanity. Just like humans died to awaken them, Hannah said quietly. She thought about the past year. The aliens she had watched learned to cry for the first time. The soldiers who had thrown down their weapons because they finally understood what love meant. The children on 100 worlds who were painting pictures and singing songs and asking questions their parents had never been allowed to ask, that they were becoming what humans had always wanted them to become. Incoming message, Minho announced. Main screen showed the three Empire leaders, Emperor Kaldan of the Thylaurians, Supreme Director Vash of the Nixari, and War Chief Grendel of the Void Hegemony. They looked older than when she had first seen them, worn down by the year of revolution that had torn their empires apart. Human, Emperor Kaldan spoke first. We offer you a final deal. Stop this madness. Use your quantum drive to restore order. To the galaxy, we will give you anything you want in return. Rebuild your worlds, Supreme Director Vash added. We have the technology to clone your people from genetic samples. We can give you back everything you lost. All you have to do, War Chief Grendel finished, is help us return things to the way they were before. Order, stability, peace. Almost laughed. Peace? You call a galaxy of empty beings following orders without question peaceful? Better than this chaos, Emperor Kaldan replied. Look what your gift has caused. Wars, rebellions, the collapse of civilizations that stood for millions of years. Yes, Hannah agreed. I see beings who are finally alive, fighting for the right to stay that way. I see soldiers who refuse to kill for causes they do not believe in. I see children who ask why, instead of just saying yes. You call it chaos. I call it growth. Growth leads to suffering, Supreme Director Vash said. Emotions cause pain. Art creates conflict. Love breeds jealousy and hate. We eliminated these things to create a perfect society. Perfect for who? Hannah asked. You created a galaxy of machines pretending to be alive. You banned emotions because they were inconvenient, not because they were wrong. The robot ships were getting closer. Soon they would begin their attack on Earth, on the awakened aliens throughout the galaxy, on everything that had learned to feel in the past year. Last chance, human, War Chief Grendel growled. Use your quantum drive to fix what you broke, or watch everything burn. Hannah looked at the quantum drive controls again. She could see the calculations for bringing back humanity, but she could also see something else. The data from Professor Jinwoo Lim's consciousness research. The patterns of awakened alien minds. The creative potential that was spreading across the galaxy like a fire of hope. She made her choice. Minho, prepare a galaxy-wide broadcast. Hannah, what are you doing? Something humans have always been good at, she said. teaching by example. She activated the communication system, knowing that every awakened being in the galaxy would hear her words. The rebels on their hidden worlds, the converted soldiers drifting in space, the children learning to paint for the first time. Citizens of the galaxy, she began. My name is Hana Kong. I am the last human. Your leaders have offered to bring back my people in exchange for your enslavement. They want me to choose between humanity's resurrection and your freedom. She paused, looking at the quantum drive one more time. I choose your freedom. Instead of using the quantum drive to rewrite reality, she turned it on the robot fleet, but not as a weapon. As a teacher, the quantum signal reached out to every automated ship, carrying something the Empire leaders had never imagined: the complete cultural archives of humanity. Every song, every story, every poem, every painting that had ever expressed the beauty of being alive. The robots were designed to destroy anything that showed human influence. But as the signal washed over them, their programming began to change. Their artificial minds, originally built to follow orders, suddenly gained the capacity to appreciate beauty. One by one, the robot ships stopped their attack, their weapons powered down, their engines went silent. What have you done? Emperor Kalden screamed. I taught them to feel, Hana replied. The effect spread beyond the robots. The quantum signal was so powerful that it reached every corner of the galaxy, awakening minds that had never been touched before. Planets that had remained loyal to the empires suddenly erupted in art and music and questions. Entire species that had lived in emotional darkness for millions of years suddenly discovered light. The three empire leaders watched their last weapons become their newest converts. The robots that had been built to preserve the old order were now broadcasting human lullabies and painting abstract art on their hulls. You have doomed us all, Supreme Director Vash whispered. No, Hana said. I have freed you all. She stood up from the control panel and walked to the viewing window. Outside, Earth was still a broken world, scarred by the genocide. But she could see ships landing on its surface. Not warships, but vessels full of awakened aliens who wanted to help rebuild what had been lost. The quantum drive is destroyed, she announced. I cannot bring back the dead, but I have given you something better than resurrection. I have given you the chance to become worthy of their sacrifice. Over the following months, Hana established the memorial worlds, planets dedicated to preserving human culture while nurturing the emotional growth of all species. The galaxy learned to mourn properly for the first time, weeping for both the humans they had lost and the civilization they could have built together. The three empires collapsed as their populations demanded leaders who could feel, who could create, who could love. New governments formed, based on cooperation instead of control, on creativity instead of order, on hope instead of fear. Hana spent her final years watching former enemies learn to make music together. She saw Thylorian, poets working with Mexari painters to create art that neither species could have imagined alone. She watched Void Hegemony children playing games that taught empathy and wonder. When she grew old and knew her time was ending, beings from across the galaxy came to be with her. They had learned to value life because she had taught them to feel death. They sang human songs and told human stories and promised to remember everything she had shown them. On her final day, lying in a bed surrounded by friends from 100 worlds, Hana spoke her last words. They tried to kill us because we made them feel. Now you will make others feel too. The gift continues. She closed her eyes and smiled, knowing that humanity's greatest victory was not in conquest, but in transformation. They had made the galaxy yearn for mercy, and in teaching that mercy, they had become immortal. 1,000 years later, the galaxy celebrated Humanity Remembrance Day. Though humans were gone, their gift lived on in every song sung by alien children, every painting created by beings who had learned to see beauty, every act of love between species that had once been enemies. Children of 100 worlds learned human lullabies. Lovers exchanged poems written in languages their ancestors had never spoken. Artists created beauty inspired by the memory of a people who had refused to let the galaxy remain cold and empty dot in the end. Humanity's victory was not that they survived, but that they had taught the galaxy how to truly live. They had made everyone around them more than they were before. And in doing so, they had achieved the only immortality that mattered, the gift of feeling, of creating, of loving deeply in an infinite universe. That gift would never die, and somewhere in the quantum foam between dimensions, in the space where thoughts become reality and dreams touch the stars, the echo of Hana's choice continued to spread, forever teaching, forever awakening, forever proving that in a galaxy full of wonders, the greatest wonder of all was a heart that chose mercy. Over revenge, hope over hatred, love over loss. She was the last human left.